BabyJake, welcome to the show. This is my show's called The Lead-In Groove.
Very cool.
And we are live at Respectable Street, West Palm Beach.
Listening to the openers in the background.
Yeah, so I think the mics we may not be able to hear them
Okay.
on the show, but
Cool. If we do, even better, I guess.
Even better. So let's start from the beginning. Now, I know you're from Fort Myers. I heard that you're actually from the Keys, though.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I was born in Key West, but I moved to Fort Myers when I was like 6 or 7. Actually, I moved to Naples, and we lived in a small home in Naples, and then I think my dad, he wasn't making good enough money, and he kind of said, this is too expensive, we got to move to Fort Myers. So we moved to Fort Myers.
Yeah, I'm from the Keys.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so
I'm from Marathon.
I haven't been back since I was 5 years old, so I don't really know much, but I want to go back. I've heard it's an amazing place, especially when they have their little imagination day or whatever, when people Fantasy Fest, when people are walking around naked. I'm into that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to ask you, what are some of your earliest music memories?
I mean, I started playing guitar at 8 years old, so for me, I think my earliest music memories. Actually, that's a lie. I just remembered this. Actually, in the condo in Key West, there's this flashback memory, one of the only memories I have because I don't have a good memory, of when I was like probably 4 or 5 years old. I remember dancing with a broom in this tiny condo that we lived in Key West, and I was just listening to music that my mom was playing. And my mom is a Lithuanian immigrant.
Okay.
So she grew up on, Mom, don't hate me for this. I think she's like 53 or 54. I hope that's not too old. But she listens to like 80s music, and I grew up with a mother that was, my father's 72, so there's a big age gap between them. So my dad grew up on 60s and 70s rock. My mom grew up on, when she was going out and stuff, 80s, disco, funk, stuff like that, the cocaine era. So, I just remember dancing in this condo while I was sweeping, because I was like 4 years old playing with a broom or something, and I was always like that kid who was banging on pots and pans and whatnot. But at 8 years old, when we lived in Naples, or I guess maybe Fort Myers, I'm not entirely sure, one or the other, I started playing guitar, and my dad taught me Smoke on the Water, obviously, the classic first one you learn. And so, he taught me Smoke on the Water, and he said, bum, 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 with one finger, bum, bum, ba-da. He said, I got it down, and he said, all right, I got to go back to work. You forgot the rest, So that was my first real music memory. I actually took a long break, probably between the ages of, give or take, 10 years old and 16, because I was into athletics a lot, Right. So I just ended up playing a lot of sports, and I was still playing guitar and singing, but I wasn't doing it as much as I used to when I was younger,
Well, do you remember the first album you bought?
Yeah, that's funny. As long as I'm not incorrect about this, it was Green Day.
Okay.
And it was that first album that they had that was green. I think it was green on the cover. I don't remember, but they had this. I remember the music video. It was like this. What's his name? Billy Joel Armstrong, I think is the guy's name. He was just like, they're in this warehouse performing, and maybe it was I walked the lonely road, and that might have been the first album. I don't remember.
Okay.
It was a CD though. I mean, I'm 25 years old, so I'm not that old.
Right.
I just got wrinkles and I look a little older. But my first CD was definitely Green Day. Either that or maybe Linkin Park. Maybe Linkin Park.
Either way, they're both good.
Yeah.
Certainly less embarrassing than my first album.
What was yours?
The Eagles, Hotel California.
Okay, that's not embarrassing. Great. Great record.
Yeah, and you know what? I misspeak. I don't want to. There's really nothing embarrassing. I mean, there's no bad music.
No.
I mean, all music's great.
I mean, also those guys. I just saw those guys in Dallas, in the arena in Dallas. I forgot what it was called, but they were just playing the whole Hotel California album front to back.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's what they did live,
Yeah.
They said, we're going to play the whole album, and that's what you're hearing tonight. And they were phenomenal, Those guys are still some of the best. I mean, it's insane to hear Don Henley play the drums and sing, Dirty Laundry on that set as a bonus song, and his voice sounds exactly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's like a work of art. I mean, the whole band is amazing, obviously. But
how inspiring is that to you as a musician?
Extremely inspiring. I mean, I would only hope. You can hear my voice right now. I mean, we're playing. This is our third show in a row now, and I like to prefer to play shows 4 or 5 days in a row and then one off day. And by the third day, today, you start to get a little hoarse. You know what I mean? And I start to lose my voice just a little bit, and it's just motivating to watch these older guys who like, you know, I'm still young. I still have a fun time. I still drink. I still party. I still do things like that. And I try not to so much on tour. It's kind of hard, but these guys are just, they're at the age they're at, they take such good care of their bodies to be able to do it. Like I saw the Stones live at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, because I now live in Nashville. And to see Mick Jagger run up and down the tongue, you know, and dancing, and he's singing, and he's not missing a note. He sounds the best out of all of them. I'm going, this guy's got to be doing, you know, so many workouts a week, keeping his body in check. And I've heard those guys still have a full bar behind the stage. So, you know, what do they say? You gotta, what's the saying? I'm blanking out right now. What's the saying? You gotta work hard, play hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I guess.
But yeah, so you're chill when you're touring. You're not partying, because I mean I've seen you like the past couple hours. You're chill. You're not drinking. You're not smoking.
I mean, I'm drinking a little bit. I've had like 2 shots of tequila over the course of 4 hours or 5 hours.
Right.
I'm not.
You're not a rock star right now. You're in prep mode.
I'm in prep mode. I do like to have a couple. The whole last tour I was on, I was sober. I didn't drink at all. I didn't do anything at all, and that was just because I felt I would perform the best way. And it was my first tour, actually, proper tour with dates in a row ever.
Yeah.
So for me, I was so nervous. I wanted to make sure it went really well. Now, I've just noticed that I loosen up a little bit, and I'm with guys that also like to have a couple drinks before. So I have a couple drinks. Probably not the best. You know, vocal coaches would probably advise against. But I don't know.
A happy medium between
it's nice.
what the vocal coach says and what the life coach says.
Exactly. I'm definitely not a party animal by any means. I enjoy going out. I enjoy doing things. I enjoy having after party after the show. I'm not your dude. I'm not your Motley Crue, you know, shooting up heroin in the bathroom. That's just not me. It never has been. I used to do a fair amount of drugs. I've experienced it. It's not for me. Right. So right now, I'm just focused on trying to give the best performance I can every night that I go out. And believe it or not, you know, a lot of people look at it and go, musicians must have a really fun life. Yeah, it's super fun, except you get done here at 12. You go and meet with people. You have a little after party. You probably get home at 2 or 3 a.m., right? Even if you're not partying hard, you're still getting home late. Home, hotel, meaning home.
Right.
And then you got to wake up at 9 or 10 a.m., and you got to drive again. 4 hours or 2 hours or 3 hours or 9 hours or whatever, and then you go to sound check, and then you do it again. So it's quite exhausting, and I think it's important to keep a straight mental, you know, health when it comes to all of it. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. I'm just saying I think a lot of people lean on drugs.
When it's time to work, it's time to work.
Yeah.
When it's time to play, it's time to play.
A lot of people lean on drugs as a crutch for what they're feeling, I think. So.
Now, you remember the first song or album to like blow your mind and go, oh my God, this is what I want to do?
I think, honestly, and this is one that I don't even know the name of the album, but I remember I was quite a nerdy little kid until I got into sports, and I was really shy, which I'm not shy at all anymore.
Right.
But I was shy, and I was a little chubbier. I'm 6'6", so it took me a while to get the baby fat out of me. And I remember driving through North Carolina and just being completely fascinated and obsessed with the Gorillaz album that came out when they had the 4 faces of the monkey-looking guys, of them depicted as, I think it was monkeys. And that album just blew me away with, you know, Feel Good Inc. and all those records, Oh Green World, Good Green World, whatever it's called. I think like 7 or 8 songs on that album I enjoyed. And that's very rare to see. I mean, at that time, I was younger, probably, like I said, maybe 10 or 11 years old. And so I was hearing rock and roll from my dad. You know, I was hearing a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I was hearing a lot of, my dad's.
I still have Deja Vu on vinyl.
Oh, phenomenal. And I hated it back then.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck these guys, you know what I mean?
I mean, Carry On is, I think that's got to be like just one of the most beautiful. I mean, their voices are great. Their harmonies are
Totally.
amazing.
They're the best. I mean, harmonically, I think they're the best band ever,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I'm a huge, nowadays, Rolling Stones fan. That's
Right.
my favorite band of all time. Crosby, Stills, and Nash is up there. They're probably number 2. But at the time, I'm this young kid, and I'm, like, around all these other people listening to hip-hop and pop. And,
Right.
you know, Gorillaz were, like, a popping alt-pop band at the time. So for me, I think at that time, I was like, Dad, you know, shut this shit off. You know, I don't want to
Right.
listen to this. But now, as I've grown up and gone through my teen years and even early 20s, I mean, I'd say around, like, 13, 14 years old, I started to listen to a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I started to listen to a lot of Rolling Stones. I started to listen to just a lot of these 60s and 70s bands because I realized that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I think you'll see some of that tonight. I've obviously put out a lot of music that's not rock and roll influenced at all and very pop influenced or even
Right.
urban and rap influenced. But, you know, my whole next album and all this stuff is very rock and roll. So I'm excited, you know, to keep moving forward and keep developing. And I think it's totally okay to have that as an artist, you know, to go through this spectrum and this life cycle where, especially nowadays, people listen based off of mood, not
Right.
so much genre, you know, and kind of have this full circle moment where you go, makes sense why I like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Now I'm writing folk records, you know.
Something I've noticed with, you know, because I'm quite a bit older than you. I'm more your parents' age.
Yeah.
You know, and
You look great, though.
oh, thank you. But the younger generation, you know, just touching on what you said, they are less genre loyal.
Yes.
I mean, and I like to say I listen to everything, but then, like, you know, you come here, you know, this club does a lot of different stuff, and, like, disco night is insane.
Yeah.
You know, and then emo night, insane. It's all the same kids. You
Totally.
Know? And, you know, but there's so many different genres, and they're into everything, and I love that.
Yeah.
You know, and, you get into, you know, people my age, you know, especially because, I mean, I come from kind of that punk world.
Yes.
And you find a lot of punks that, like, this is what we listen to.
Yeah.
We don't listen to this or this or this. This is what we listen to.
Yes, totally.
And, you know, you will find, you know, in my record collection, you will find jazz music. You'll find, you know, reggae music. You'll find punk music. You'll find hip hop.
Totally.
So I love, with this younger generation, you know, it's almost like genre's not in their vocabulary, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 sides to this, right? The first side is genre's not in their vocabulary, which is a great thing.
Right.
And there's so much music coming out daily that it's amazing. It's amazing that you could record a song right now on your iPhone and an acoustic guitar literally on your voice memo app and put it out tomorrow, and you can put it out on Spotify and Apple Music and all these things. It's amazing what we're going through. The other side of it is that people don't listen to albums anymore.
Right.
And unless you push the album and you have a phenomenal album and you say, I'm living behind this, this is me, people more so than not listen to singles, you know?
Right.
And I think that was a huge incremental change that is positive and negative. It's positive because people get obsessed with one song.
Right.
And it becomes much bigger than you could ever imagine. I mean, you look at guys like Harry Styles right now, people would just know, if Harry Styles was walking on the street right now, 2 people would tweet it out, and there'd be 300 fucking people that show up in the next 5 minutes, you know?
Right.
And so it's a great thing, but on the other end, it's like, you know, I really appreciate the vinyl era and the CD era because you had to buy the whole thing.
Right.
You had to listen to the whole thing. And nowadays, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just click through and say, I don't like this song, skip. Let me go to this, let me go to this. Back then, I mean, you had to get your drunk ass up, walk over to the needle, pick it up, find the exact marker, set it down. I mean, that's why the crayon existed, right? You know, so it's kind of just like, I feel like there's pros and cons to both sides of it, you know.
One thing that was cool with, you know, the CD and the vinyl era, there's a lot of albums that one song bleeds into the next and
Yes.
the next. So there's no break between the songs, and it literally goes right into the next song.
Yeah.
So now listening to the album is an experience.
Totally. And I think it should be.
Right.
I think
Dark Side of the Moon by Pink
Oh
Floyd
my
is one of those
g-
albums.
You know.
Big Audio Dynamite, The Globe is another one of those albums where it's designed to be listened to from 1 through 10 the whole way through, and it works better on CD than it does on an album, because an album you got to get up, pick it up, turn it over,
Totally.
and then like Sandinista, The Clash is a triple album. Now
Yes.
you got 6 sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's interesting. Now you go to Spotify and you see an artist, one song's gonna have 2 million streams, and the one next to it's gonna have 5,000 streams.
Yeah, it's possible. The goal is to have every record have a lot of streams.
Right.
And I think you can still do it. I just think, I switched management not too long ago. No hate on my old management at all, but I have an amazing new manager, Bridget Wright, in Nashville, and she told me something. She managed Rage Against the Machine for 10 years.
Awesome.
So she told me, I watched them glow up. I was with them. I saw the work that came in beforehand. I saw all the pieces that got put together, and I also watched them get mad at each other and split up, and then come back together and do all this stuff. And she told me something that really stuck with me. There's 2 things in my life that really stuck with me. The first one was, actually this is the second one, was Bridget Wright saying, you need 5 pieces to the puzzle. You need a great agent, you need a great manager, you need a great label, you need a great publisher, and you need a great internal team, your business manager, all the people your attorney that's caring for you and making sure that your business is right. She said, if you got all 5 people there firing at all 5 points at one time, working together and caring. It's not about, I signed to Scooter Braun when I came in the industry. I was with the top fucking dog. And it's not about being with the top dog. Not any hate on Scooter. I think Scooter's wonderful, and I've had a wonderful experience working with him. But I've realized that it's more about who cares about you.
Right.
And if you have 5 people that care about you, I think you can have an album where you see every song do 10 million or 20 million or 100 million streams. I mean, to me, if I release my next album, which is 100% live recorded, no auto-tune, no nothing, no tuning, the instruments in certain parts are out of time. I mean, it's classic rock to a T.
Right.
It's 11 songs, and I hopefully put it out in 2023, early 2023, start releasing the singles. If I had every song do, even if it was 10 million streams, but they were consistent, I'd be happy, because your touring career is stronger. Your career in festivals is stronger. What people don't realize is you could have one song like Cigarettes on Patios, which I'm very thankful for.
Right.
Do 130 million streams. But then people know you for that. They don't look at a whole body of work and go, oh, we're going to go to a concert, and we're going to go to every concert. I mean, now that I'm playing some of these new songs and people are starting to hear it live and stuff, I've had a couple people drive from Jacksonville to come to Tampa to come watch me 2 days later.
That's awesome.
That is what you want. That's the crowd that you want. You want people that go, yo, I'm going to go to his concert, and I'm going to tell all my friends to go to his concert because I love 10 songs, not just one song.
Right.
That was the first thing. I mean, the second thing that I got told in life that really stuck with me by Bridget was you need 5 pieces of the puzzle. The first thing was a woman by the name of Linda Perry, who was the lead singer for 4 Non-Blondes.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, yeah, yeah, right? I got the opportunity to become friends with her and work with her in Los Angeles. And so, we're good. And so he's showing me the time. This is my buddy Austin. You can't really see him, but
sure you can. Boom.
Boom. There you can.
There you go.
One of my best friends. Love Austin. All the way from Fort Myers, Florida, ladies and gentlemen. And the first thing was Linda Perry, who I was very fortunate to be able to become friends with and seek advice from. And she's a crazy person.
Right.
I mean, she is the sweetest, most kind, crazy, fucked up person you ever met.
She's been there. She's done it.
She has been there. She's a Hall of Fame songwriter.
Yeah.
And I talked to her, and we're going back and forth during COVID, and there's a glass wall between us because obviously she's a little bit older, and she was nervous about it, and even me at the time was a little nervous about it. And we're wearing masks, and I'm taking the mask down to sing, and I'm in this isolated, probably the size of this, with a piano, guitar, bass, electric guitar, maybe a little organ in the corner, and I'm playing this guitar, and I get through the whole first verse, and I nail it. I get through the whole first hook, and I nail it. I'm right on time. The feeling's good. The way I'm strumming it's good. And then I fuck up on the second verse. And me, being 22 years old probably at the time, 3 years ago, give or take, I said, all right, that was perfect. Just fly it to the second verse. And she said, no. And I was like, why not? And she said, I can't just fly it to the second verse because if I fly it to the second verse, it's going to be the same as the first verse. I said, what's wrong with that? I played it perfect. Nobody's going to notice. She said, no, Jake, I'm not going to do it. And we get into this bickering match, not like fighting, but bickering back and forth probably for 10 minutes. At the end of it, she goes, Jake, listen, music's all about push and pull. And at the time I go, and fuck this lady. I don't want to hear that shit. Fine, I'll do it again, because I was young and dumb and arrogant. And so later on,
it's amazing how much you know when you don't know shit.
Oh my God, yeah, it's amazing. And later on, about a year later, I'd say, it clicks in my brain and I go, maybe not even a year later. It was probably like 2 weeks later. It clicks in my brain and goes, music's all about push and pull. I was in a session or something. Music's all about. Don't time the guitar perfectly. You know what? I had that take. I took it. Some things aren't perfect. Leave it. And that changed my whole perspective on music. Because you listen to some of these records, one of my favorite records that we play tonight by the Rolling Stones, Beast of Burden, we're going to cover it tonight.
Awesome.
It's one of my favorite records. You can hear Bill Wyman hit a wrong bass note within the first 7 seconds. He hits a complete wrong. He doesn't even slide into the right note. He just hits it and goes, fuck it.
Yeah.
We're on one take. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
This is jazz now.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay to be off. People don't notice.
And I'm going to argue with you there, not say it's okay to be off. The beauty is in the off.
Yes, exactly.
It's
correct.
Being perfect is sterile.
Correct.
And having these little off moments is yet another ability to connect.
Being imperfect is perfect.
Absolutely.
Mistakes are meant to be made. You know what I mean? It's just inevitable. In life, you're going to make mistakes. And why shouldn't you in music? And I think in music, it's become very, very sterile to just not make mistakes and copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste. I want people to hear me for what I'm doing, for who I am. I don't want to put, I've had these guys that I work with now that go, not now, but in the past, that are like, hey, you want me to tune that note a little bit? I'm like, no. Either let me sing it again or leave it. Because it's okay. My voice naturally, as a human being, is a little bit flat. Yeah. I'm not perfect. I got a good tone. I got a great, typically great pitch. But I'm a little flat, kind of like Bob Dylan. But look at Bob Dylan. Nobody goes to Bob Dylan.
Flatter than Bob.
Nobody goes to Bob Dylan and says, he's a horrible artist. Mm-hmm. No, people go to Bob Dylan and say, you wrote some of the best songs of all time.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm not a big fan of his singing, but there's no denying that man is one of the best singer-songwriters that's ever lived, and one of the best poets.
Yes.
Like, just take his lyrics without music.
Yes.
And it's still amazing. That is an artist.
There's two sides to it. I think artists that don't write their own stuff are amazing too. They have amazing voices who get great songs. Clive Davis was a king at that. He brought artists all these amazing songs and said, do this. This is right for you. This is a hit. Right. I like the whole album, but this is your single.
Yeah,
and then
Prince did the same thing.
And then there's guys like, sorry, I'm spitting all over your mic here. There's guys, like Bob Dylan that obviously, I don't think anybody in their fucking right mind thinks Dylan has a 10 out of 10 voice.
No.
But gosh, when you hear something like Lay Lady Lay, and you listen to it.
To me, music is about the connection that you make with the person listening. And whether it's a recorded song or live, there is so much beauty in that connection.
Totally.
And and that's he did that amazing. Freddie Mercury, another one that was amazing with that connection.
Yes.
Now I had two things I wanted to hit on with you.
Sure. I'm a rambler.
Tonight.
I told you this.
Yeah. No, and that's awesome. And so am I. But so I tried listening to as much of your catalog as I could. And two things I noticed. One, there's obviously a bit of that laid-back party boy vibe.
Totally.
But
laid-back party boy vibe. You hear that, Austin?
But I mean, with that,
he knew me in my party days.
Yeah, but I mean, you listen to the way you sing. I mean, it's very laid back.
Totally.
But it's laid back, but it's still a party.
Yes.
But some that I don't know. I mean, I think you really kind of got to dig into the lyrics. I could be off here, but it's to me, it's more underlying is there's a total vibe of positivity in a lot of your music.
Generally speaking, yes.
Yeah,
Maybe
is that something you want to touch on? Or?
maybe not the next. Maybe the next album. I'm not gonna say is all positive, but generally speaking, in the past, I've liked to create. Good. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not positive. I'm just gonna say that there's sad topics that I touch on too. But in the past, I mean, my main goal was just to make feel good music. I mean,
but even with the sad stuff, is
still feel good music.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a song that's gonna come out hopefully very soon. It's called "Who Shot You Down." It's about a shooting at a festival. That's what I wrote it about. I wrote it about a mass shooting that goes on at a festival. But the energy of the song is happy. And I have the whole crowd. You'll hear it tonight. I have the whole crowd say, everybody say it with me, "Who shot you down?" And I went to and they all sing it, not listening to what I'm saying in the lyrics, but listening to the vibe of the music. The vibe of the music and where I'm coming from is always positive. It will always be positive. I don't ever want to put something negative out into the world. It's part of the reason why I don't necessarily listen to a lot of rap music right now, because I think there's a lot of negativity going out into the world.
I agree.
I think it's ruining a lot of society that people don't even realize. I think when you listen to some of these guys, we've just turned a blind eye to it in the record industry because it's shitty. Has milked it for all the money that they can get out of it, and some of the stuff that these guys are saying, they're not realizing is making a way bigger impact on especially young women and young men.
Well, and the way young men treat young
exactly.
women. Yeah, they say you are what you eat.
Yep.
We consume music.
It's so true.
The music that we're consuming is going to change who we are, how we interact with other people, and you get people that are of lesser shall we say that don't have the confidence that you have or that I have. And they'll mimic these bad behaviors because that's what they're hearing.
I mean, and at the end of the day, when you're talking about some of the stuff that these rappers say, most of the time these guys are talking out their ass.
Right.
They haven't experienced it, or they have experienced it and they don't feel good about it, so they're rapping about it because they won't go talk to a therapist.
Right. They're no different than a marketing agency. You're marketing something that is popular. You don't necessarily have experience with it, but it sells, so you're going to go ahead and and you're going to sing about what sells.
And I'm not hating on all hip hop. I'm just hating on a lot of the new stuff that's coming out.
Yeah. No, listen, I get it, and some of these people, I will say I got called out of touch because I don't like the new Kendrick Lamar album, and it's not that I'm saying the Kendrick Lamar album is bad. I'm saying I can't connect with it.
Yeah.
I'm not from a broken home. I'm not, I've lived a different life than Kendrick Lamar has, and I'm not saying what Kendrick Lamar went through isn't real. I mean, it's real. It's bad. And he's doing the best he can and singing about it and connecting with a lot of people. I'm a 50-year-old white guy, that grew up with, parents with a little bit of money, and, I can't connect with that.
Yes.
So,
which is fair.
Right.
People should accept that.
Right. But the other, side, but he is, at least what he's doing is trying to turn a negative into a positive.
Totally.
And I can get behind that. But, to your point, some of these modern hip-hop fans, which I can't even name them because it's not what I listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, I love old school hip-hop, Tribe Called Quest, Jurassic 5, stuff like that's amazing. I'll listen to that all day. But that's positive. It's fun.
Totally. I mean, and it's always been lyrical for me. I mean, I'm not going to say always been lyrical, but the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that if I'm going to be in this position myself, I have influence on the world, and I need to be responsible with that influence. And
I love that.
It is extremely important to do that, because it's it's like saying you care about the environment and then you're not recycling your plastic bottles at home. it's the same thing. It's saying, you know, I love the music industry, I love everything that's going on, but I'm going to talk about these things that are going to negatively impact the world and the music industry in the long run.
Right.
You know, and I think that as not only an artist, as a human, everybody has a responsibility to be somewhat very careful and very responsible with the information and the kind of, I guess you could say, power that you have over any person. I mean, it's as simple as being a manager at a company. Right. You don't have to be a huge artist who influences millions and millions of people. You can only influence 3 people, but it's still important how you influence them.
Well, those 3 people can influence another 3 people and another 3 people.
What's up, guys? They're waving at me outside.
Yeah, hold on. Let's.
I'm in the middle of an interview. I can't hear what he said. There's a glass door.
Yeah, so last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and this is the whole reason I actually wanted to talk to you tonight. I saw an interview with you that I thought was awesome. You had hit on something that was great, which is you go to shows and you see how other musicians are interacting with their audience.
Yes.
And you're like, I have to learn what they're doing.
Yes.
Now, what blew me away is you've got 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. We're not even talking about any of the other streaming services. You've got 2 million listeners there. So to say, I mean, you're doing well, you know, you're probably at the top of your game right now and only getting better, I hope.
Yes, I hope too.
But to see the humility that you have to have as an artist to say, man, I want to be like this guy. And, you know, you're talking about people that are opening for you.
Yes.
You know, going, I want to be like the guy that's opening for me. That says a lot to me as an artist.
I mean, the guys that are opening for me right now, actually, Allegra Miles and Crushco Company. You know, I don't do surf rock, and I don't even know what you would call Allegra. I guess like pop, dance hall, alternative indie, whatever it is. I don't do either one of those genres, but I think she has a better voice than me. So
She's amazing.
She's an amazing vocalist, and so I take notes when I do get the chance to listen to her. A lot of times beforehand, I'm busy, like right now. But when I do get the chance, I take notes on that. And those guys, Crushco, I mean, they're so tight. They're a band, you know. I hire my musicians, and I love my musicians, and I've exchanged a lot of guys out. But it's hard that way because you're not doing it with the same people all the time. You know, you have to rebuild chemistry all the time. And finally, we're at that point, third, you know, this will be our 4th show on this tour run. And so I feel like we'll have a great performance tonight. But those guys are a band, and they've been a band for years. And so even to hear them, I'm like, man, these guys are fucking tight. We better be tight tonight, you know?
Yeah.
And I always, even if it's not to be like somebody, I remember being at Lollapalooza this past year and watching some acts that I really enjoy and going, oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Right.
And I literally took something that somebody did
stealing that.
4 hours prior, and I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it in a different way, but I'm going to do the same thing. You know, and I just like to learn. I like to learn, and I think it's so important to learn because, and it took me a long time to have the humility to be able to do it. It's the truth. Like I said, at 22, 23 years old, I thought I knew I had everything figured out. Yeah. 25 years old, I now realize I just now found myself, not only musically, personality-wise as well, as who I really am and what I really care about. For a long time, it was just about getting there. Right. And then once you get there, you forget you were just trying to get there. You know? Now, like, chill out. Figure out what really matters to you and what's important to you, and have the humility to go and watch these other people and go, man, these guys are fucking incredible. I want to learn something from them, regardless whether they're huge or not huge. You know, like, I just think it's important to always learn. You know, it's important to always. I don't read, so I might as well watch.
That's awesome. Well, I know you are going on stage here soon.
Yes.
So I'm gonna let you go, let you do your thing before your show. Get ready.
Thank you.
I thank you so much for taking the time.
Sorry I was late.
We got it done.
Yeah. Hopefully some good stuff said, not just rubbish.
No. It's gonna be awesome.